right, we are ready to go. I think we're ready to go. Let's just get a quick mic audio test and stuff like that. Should be all okay. How are we all doing today? We good? Good connection? Just gonna wait a little bit to make sure that things are stable. But I think that we are gonna have a pretty seamless stream tonight. We do have a lot to cover. Bitcoin has dumped lower. We got a really perfect rejection, guys. This was absolutely perfect. Look, we got our first one prematurely. We got our second one even bigger. No surprises. None. Absolutely no surprise. I want to give a quick shout out to Phil and Phil. We have two Phils in the chat today, and both telling you to smash up those likes. So if you want to have an amazing stream, then you know what to do. Smash up those likes as we enter this live stream. Shout out to both of our Phils. And I'm gonna get into it now because it looks like everything is okay. You guys are telling me that everything is fine. Volume up. If I put the volume up, it will hurt other people. So you should probably turn your volume up. People are really scared in this market today. People are really scared in this market. It's something I've noticed. First of all, look, if you are scared, this is still happening. This is all still happening, in my opinion, as part of a very healthy, well, it's not healthy because it's parabolic, but as part of a healthy uptrend, you know, like this is as healthy as the trend could be, all things considered. And that, to me, gives me some pretty good confidence in the market right now. That's telling me that actually we're not doing too bad. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. We are just following standard procedures when we have really big rallies that have to correct. Because what we did here was we set a low originally at $30,000. Then, as FORFLIES predicted, we dumped below 30,000, albeit not nearly as much as I thought we would, but still technically below. And then, as FORFLIES predicted, we came back up to test this resistance area and got another rejection. Nothing here is happening that's unusual, that is unexpected, that is unsettling. You know, what would be scary is if Bitcoin very suddenly dipped down to 20K. Right, this is what would actually be scary and unusual and unhealthy for the trend. Let's just say Bitcoin really quickly dumped down all the way down here and then just traded sideways. This would be unusual. This would be unsettling. What we're doing right now, ladies and gents, is we are still trading downwards, yes, which is unsettling and uncomfortable, sure, but we're doing it slowly. Right? We're not taking really big dumps down and then just consolidating and then taking another leg down. Not at all. We have throughout this trend a lot of evidence of the bulls still being alive. Yes, they are losing the fights. They are losing the battles, but the war is still definitely, you know, something that they're winning. And more importantly, they're putting up a fight each time, right? And I can't make this clear enough to you. This isn't bad what we're seeing in the market. And so every time I kept telling you, almost every single day I made a video, that I think Bitcoin is going to get rejected and I think it's going to trade down. I always told it to you with the caveat that I still think Bitcoin has a lot of potential to rise up very nicely. It's just that it needs to correct. And so just looking at a pattern like this, it's not so easy for me to draw, but you know, let's just say relatively speaking, we have a you know, rising wedge like this. This is an illustration of the bulls still trying to push the price up. It's not like they're just completely anemic, they're completely weak and powerless. No, they're still trying. Look, and trying on small time frames, trying on big time frames, right? I've highlighted this for you a million times. And so we're doing it right now again. We are not doing something unusual. This is super normal. And I think that's important to keep in mind because I can tell there's a little bit of anxiety in the market right now. And I mean, anxiety is good. I want the market to feel anxious, but I don't want you guys to feel anxious because you're FORFLIES viewers and, you know, it looks good on everybody here if you end up doing well, you know. So one of the first steps here to keep a calm, stable head is just understanding what a healthy trend looks like, and this whole thing right here is not healthy, but within the context of what we have right now, we are doing something very, very healthy, and I'm very, very happy with it. So this is just a note that I want to open up on, right? That's just something really, really important. Once again, if we can shoot up those likes. Shout out to Spladam in California. What time is it in California? 7 a.m? Oh man, that is not normal for California, is it? Awake and watching the live stream at 7 a.m. Who wakes up at 7 in Cali? Nice one. I can only congratulate you, I guess. But yeah, so Bitcoin ending up getting a very, very sweet rejection off this level. This is beautiful. We hit a resistance level at this green line and we got rejected. We hit a resistance level, a heavy resistance level at this green box, and we got rejected. And you know, one of the key things that I said is that I expected if we got a rejection off this green box, it would probably be a pretty strong rejection. And that's exactly what we did get. This rejection that we saw over the past 24 hours is bigger than the one we saw last time. Look, this is minus 10%, minus 3,500, and the previous dump that we got was minus 8.3%, only down by 2,800. Everyone keeps asking me to say the numbers. I will try to keep this in mind, although it's not easy when I'm talking about a bunch of complicated topics. But from 34,000, we got rejected down to 31,000. This was an 8% correction. And the next one we got was even bigger because we went from 35,000 down to the same low, 31,000. And so we had a bigger correction the second time around, which makes a lot of sense because we are trading. We did trade within a heavy area of resistance, and there was still quite a bit of reason to believe that we would get resistance. The Ichimoku Cloud on the 4-hour definitely did show us that we had some resistance up ahead. I think if we test it again, we could be looking at going down. Because what we have right now, in my opinion, is we are still in this very same downtrend. This is hard for me to deny, and it's clear as day to me. You know, we are in a short-term downtrend with this market right now, and what that's telling me is, shout out from Africa, nice one, Devanda, thank you for tuning in. Arizona represented. We're about to do this whole geographic thing, aren't we? But what we have right now with Bitcoin, in my opinion, is a very, very clear example of being in a downtrend. And you know, one of the key ways the key way that you can tell if you're in a downtrend is you look at the highs. This is like the textbook way to see if you're in a downtrend. You look at the highs and you ask yourself, are these highs getting lower? If the answer is yes, okay, you're probably in a downtrend. And then you look at the lows. Are the lows getting lower? Yeah, so you're probably in a downtrend. And that's a very, very obvious way of telling if you're in a downtrend. But another way, which I like to look at really, is where Bitcoin is forming these kind of patterns. These are called rising wedges, and we see a lot of examples of this where Bitcoin will trade down, then it will trade upwards slowly, and then it will trade down again, and then upwards, and then down, and it will continue the trend. And obviously we're in another one right now. I keep on saying this, and I'm going to say it again. We have a very, very clear example of this being the typical staircase pattern that you see when you used to Google trading, you know, like a year ago, and you just saw random stock images and you saw that typical staircase effect. That is what we're doing right now. So we are in a downtrend, and we have lower highs to confirm that, and we have lower lows to confirm that, and we're forming bearish patterns. So it's not easy for me to see this any other way. And what that means is, for this market, I will be taking a bias to the upside, sorry, to the downside. This means I will expect support levels to fail, and I will expect resistance levels to reject us. And what's really important is, yeah, you get two ways to this. You know, each time you test a level, it probably gets weaker. This is a technical theory which is lesser known, but still very important. And so if we are seeing levels getting weaker, well, we know this now because I say it in every bloody video. We're testing these support levels quite a lot, right? So it's actually time for me to draw another one right here at 31,000 because we seem to interact with this level quite a bit. And actually, now that I've done that, I think I should just draw a box here because it would be a little bit more accurate. I mean, by definition, it's not as accurate, but that's kind of the point. And so, you know, we really are testing this relative area of support quite a bit, and I'm still surprised that it's holding, but I think that obviously we could be at any point ready to break down. And seeing that we've got some pretty, I think, substantial Ichimoku resistance on the 4-hour time frame right now. Just going off how reliable it was on the 4-hour time frame as support, this is something I covered with you in a recent live stream. Because it was so reliable as support in the past, I fully believe that it will be reliable as resistance now in the present. And so if we do end up pumping up here again, I think we are looking at a potential rejection. The other thing that I want to highlight to you is beyond that, so we are continuing to fill out this descending triangle, doing it very nicely. Look, we nearly came up to test this resistance over here, which is pretty good. I think that we're definitely, again, continuing to show signs of being in a bearish trend right now, because we are conforming to this quite large time frame descending triangle, and we're right around the breakout point for this. As you know, these patterns, if you've been watching this channel as a regular viewer for a while, you will know that these patterns, they usually don't trade all the way to the apex because it's just too narrow. You can't realistically expect that. And so usually they break out somewhere between 66, which let's just say is over here, and 75% of the completion of the pattern. This is usually the time frame that we would break down. I eyeballed this. It's not technical at all. You can calculate this technically and let me know if it actually works, but it almost always does. And we did end up, we are right now, continuing to largely conform to this pattern and getting ready, I think, for a breakdown as well, because depending on how you draw the rising wedges that Bitcoin has been trading in lately, we've already broken them. We've already broken our most recent one. Let me show this to you really quick. This is the same rising wedge that I showed you in the last video, which looked something a little bit like this. Look, we've already broken it. And not only did we break it, if I zoom in even further, we came down below this area of support. Look, this was support here and here and here. We came down, we tested it as resistance, we got rejected, we tested it again, we got rejected, right? So we're not showing signs of strength here, in my opinion, and we're doing exactly the same thing that Bitcoin did when it broke out of its ascending triangle. Look at this. I'm going to show you this right here. Bitcoin dropped out of its ascending triangle over here. Look, we used this as support a lot throughout the trend. Then when we broke below it, we came back up to test the relative area, and then we dumped down. Again, super typical price action within this market, where we are dropping below support areas, then coming back up to test them as resistance, and then trading much lower. We do this with diagonal lines, just like we've done it over here today, just like we did it over here on the 20th, 21st of January. We also do it with horizontal levels, like over here. When this loads, this is the main chart I've been looking at with you guys, where we were previously using this area as support, and now we're using it as resistance. And so we have very, very clear examples of old areas of support turning into new areas of resistance, both with diagonal lines. Look, we got our support retest over here as new resistance, and with horizontal lines. Look, rejection over here, rejection over here. And so across the board, more small bearish signs. And when we're doing short-term analysis, we only have small signs to go off. And so this, to me, still painting the very, very same picture of Bitcoin potentially being in a pretty bad shape where it could end up dumping lower. But again, I have to keep reiterating that this doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that we're in a healthy trend. If this was bad, ladies and gents, for those of you guys tuning in right now, I just want to give a quick shout out to Phil, our new moderator. He is the first moderator we've ever had on this YouTube channel, and he has given himself the task of constantly reminding you guys, and the other Phil, we have two Phils in this chat, they're both taking on the task of asking people to hit the like button, and it's absolutely amazing. If we can do that, I would really appreciate that. While I'm live, the more you guys do that, the more viewers will come in, and the more that just makes me happy to do more live streams like this for you, and you've definitely seen that lately. So here we go right here, definitely looking at a case where we are, showing, look, there are a set number of potential bearish things we can do, and we're doing a lot of them right now. But going back to the point I made before I started talking about Phil and the like button is, if we were in a bearish trend, for those of you just joining now, if we were actually in a market that was in danger, something that was scary to me, as a trader who's been around for nearly 4 years in this market now, which, by the way, is a significant percentage of my entire lifetime. If you have, if I was going to be scared, the market would have to do something like dump really low down to, say, $20,000, and then not recover, you know, just trade sideways. This is where I would start shitting myself, because I would think this is a classic bear flag and we're going to trade lower. But we're not doing this. Look, the distinct thing about this and the reason this would be bad is because, first of all, the market would dump by a lot. You know, we only dump by about 30% here. This dump would be more than 50%. Look at this. This would be a 52% dump, which is huge. That's as big as the dump we had in 2018 when we went from 6,000 down to 3,000. That was a very, very bad dump. It would make me feel very tense if that happened. But more importantly, the second part is what would really, really upset me, because Bitcoin would just trade sideways and we wouldn't really see a recovery. But that's not what we're doing here, guys. For those of you just tuning in, what we're doing in this market is every time we take a leg down, the bulls are fighting it. They're showing us that they have some fight left in them. Every single time, without exception, the bulls are fighting it. And what does that tell you? It tells me that there's still bullish energy in this market, and it just needs to recharge before it grabs this market by the bloody balls and runs this bull up to $42,000 or $50,000. That's exactly what this is telling me. It's telling me that the bulls are still putting up a fight. There needs to be more of a recovery, hopefully downwards, because you know that I want to buy cheap Bitcoin, and it just means that the bulls are getting ready to make their next move, but they haven't gathered that strength yet. I definitely think they will gather it if the price keeps dropping lower. So some really, really important points to mention right there. I'm going to start going through your questions soon, by the way. Shout out to Sade, if I said your name correctly, for clicking like on the video. Thank you very, very much. And so those are some really, really important things to cover, where we're in a healthy trend, but I definitely think we can go lower. The next thing is I do think that there's some pretty decent chances of Bitcoin actually coming up to these resistance levels and getting rejected now. We might end up forming something a little bit like a head and shoulders pattern, and that's if we end up trading up to this level. This is actually something that I just realized like 5 seconds ago. We might actually form a head and shoulders pattern if we come up to this level and test our resistance, and we know what resistance is there, right? It's our Ichimoku Cloud. Look at this on the 4-hour time frame. Slap on the Ichimoku Cloud. We have a beautiful little area of resistance right over here, which, you know, if I just paint for you what this, and I'm going to show you why this is so important in just a minute, by the way, because this is, this is not something that, you know, like usually I don't really care about head and shoulders patterns, but this one to me, it does actually look really good. I don't know, let's say we form something a little bit like this, trading up to form the head, back down to form the left shoulder, and then back up into this relative area. Maybe we go a little bit higher. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The technicals don't matter. But if I paint for you what this looks like, this means Bitcoin sets its... okay, so we know the Ichi resistance is here. I'm going to zoom in onto the 30-minute time frame now to illustrate this with a little bit more clarity. This means that Bitcoin ends up taking its first leg up. It gets rejected. It tries again, and it actually goes a little bit higher, but it gets rejected even harder. And then it tries one final time, but it can't gather enough strength to go as high as the previous high, so it gets rejected, and the next rejection is really nasty. This to me would make a lot of sense, and it tells you the same thing that I've been saying, where I think support levels will break because we've tested them too much. It also is me essentially saying I think that if we get one more test of resistance, we'll probably get a really, really big rejection now, because we've already made 2 failed attempts. A third failed attempt, just, you know, look at it from a point of view of psychology. If we do get a third failed attempt and we're not able to set a higher high, you know, something that would really excite the market, if we do just fail below the prior high that we set, that's going to tell the traders something really, really important in this market, which is that we don't have the strength to keep pushing up because we failed 3 times in a row. And what do you think that's going to do for buyer confidence and seller confidence? That's going to tell sellers that, you know, Bitcoin doesn't have the steam to push up. We've made 3 failed attempts. That's going to tell the buyers that Bitcoin doesn't have the steam to go up. We've had 3 failed attempts. So you're going to start seeing less buyers when people start seeing that there's a lot of rejections in the market, and you'll see less sellers as well. The flip side to that coin is resistance levels get weaker and support levels get weaker the more we test them. However, I also prefaced a big part of this live stream by saying that we are currently in a bearish trend right now. We are currently in a downtrend that we set since we topped out at $42,000. And because of that, everything I do in my analysis will lean a little bit more bearish. You know, just because if I was bearish from this point, I would have had a lot more opportunities to be correct than if I was bullish. It's the same reason that during this entire trend upwards, I only traded long positions. I didn't even want to risk trading short positions in this market. I didn't think it was worth it because you had way more potential to be correct if you were trading the upside than if you were trading the downside. And it's not like this is something that I'm just telling you now. I was talking about this in the moment while we were going up, and actually while for quite a while I was talking about how I thought Bitcoin needed to retrace. I was still only trading the upside because that's the only place that I saw good potential for healthy trades, and I think that's really important. We've been seeing a lot of this with VIP members lately who've really anchored themselves and traded with a lot more, how do I say, sensibility. They're trading in much more sensible ways after joining VIP, and that's been a really big help for a lot of these guys to start, you know, limiting the losses they make in these markets and start gaining even bigger wins. I've got a beautiful message from one of our members over here who just booked a 42% and then a 35% profit. I believe this was just yesterday, making a couple more small profits. This guy calls them small. Fair enough, they're not triple digit gains, but they're still pretty big, where he did close them out early. He's moving his stop losses up to break even, and he's ensuring that if the trade reverses, he is still in a gain. He's still up, playing with smaller amounts as well, so that he is essentially anchoring his risk and making it a very safe set of positions. This is amazing. This guy has demonstrated what, like 3-4 key aspects of healthy trading. Number one, this guy is closing out profits when they're good enough. Guys, let me just prove this right now to you. I'm going to get a calculator. Actually, I'll do this in front of you on Google. This is 42% and 35%. Let's just calculate this really quickly. If we start off with $100 and we multiply this by 1.42, this is 42%, and we multiply that by 1.35, this guy made a 42% gain and then a 35% gain. That would have nearly doubled your money. That's huge. This guy, absolutely beautiful gains. 42%, 35%. He would have nearly doubled his money with just those two trades. So if you think that these are small profits, you better think again. You know, like $100 would have turned into nearly 200, right? $10,000 would have turned into nearly, $1,000 would have turned into nearly 2,000, you know, and obviously the percentages are the same. So if you start off with, what is this, $100,000, it would have become $200,000 after just two trades, assuming he compounds this money. And so first of all, he's closing out trades safely. He's booking big gains. That's number two. He's ensuring that if the trade goes wrong, he still profits. That's number three. Look at this amazing risk management. And he's trading with smaller balances so that he has less risk in this market. We see a lot of this in VIP lately. Another message from a member, I had to blank this out because he gave a lot of identifiable information here, but we're seeing another VIP member here just getting absolutely psyched over his trade with Ethereum on his first trade, making 10x leverage. He just apparently have changed his life. So there you go. We have another one. Another guy over here who mentioned that with the profits he's made inside of VIP, he's finally made enough to buy a house. Another guy on a similar note. I actually didn't capture the part where he said I changed his life, but did I? I don't think. No. Where he says I changed his life, I think it was somewhere else. But saying I finally found what I want to do in life. It's like it's always been this, but after joining VIP, it's like everything in my life just clicked and made sense. This is amazing. This is really cool. Just getting a lot of the sentiment in VIP now. Completely not a surprise at all, though. I mean, this is something that I've been talking about for months, where I was saying the market would really heat up. Those of you who have been regular subscribers of the channel since about September, you will remember this. And September was what, like 4 months ago or something? Yeah, something like that. It was only 4 months ago, but I kept on saying the market's going to heat up, it's going to get really hot, and it's going to stay hot. Remember that? If those of you who are subscribed since a while ago, you will remember me saying that all the time. And we're in it right now. It's still staying hot. And actually, as this guy highlighting right here, there's still so much further to go. The guy who became a millionaire inside of FORFLIES VIP, he also said exactly the same thing. Let me see if I can find you his message, because it was really cool. Right here. Actually, it was a few days before this. This message here, this guy details how he turned 60K into 750K inside of 10 months, and things are just getting started. He sent me this message, I don't know, somewhere around the beginning of January, and then a couple days later, he became a new millionaire inside of FORFLIES VIP as well. Super cool. This guy joined us 10 months ago with our yearly plan. He didn't know anything about trading. He only traded a little bit of Forex and things like that in the past. He runs 6 businesses internationally, and he still has time to trade crypto, because realistically, good, healthy trading doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes good thinking power, and this guy definitely had it. So very, very impressive. If you want to see what the deal is with VIP, how these people have been able to do that inside of our group, then you can join VIP by following these steps on screen. Click on the first link in the description down below, then click on the @FORFLIES button, and then click on send message to ask me how to join VIP. But let's get back to the video for now. And like I said, one of the key points, or I see your messages about VIP already coming in, by the way. So, you know, my assistant, yes, is still here for quite a long time, actually. So he will respond to you as we go along. But right here, yes, support levels getting weaker, resistance levels I would expect us to get rejected from relatively soon. And let's get to the analysis I had on some of the other things in the market, because I did have some more core analysis to share before I start going through your questions inside of the comment section. And as usual, if you are watching live today, please do tag me with the @FORFLIES so that I see your comment. I will not see your comment as a question if you don't tag me with @FORFLIES. But let's see what other, yeah. So the other thing I wanted to highlight for you is it's amazing how similar the analysis is with me and my analyst. He's pointed out the same things I've already said, but one of the key things he's saying is we tested 31k around over here, something like this. We pumped up to 42, and then we dumped down. We pumped up to 40, then we went down. We pumped up to 34. And now, you know, we're potentially doing something again like that, but we could end up failing. And the reason he's illustrated that is simply to say that we're pushing these highs, but we're getting weaker at pushing these highs each time, right? And so that forms a very, very clear, it's called a descending triangle. You guys know exactly what that is, but explaining the characteristic of it, I think, is very important, because it shows us that gradually, as time goes on, the bulls are losing steam. They're pushing the price with more and more weakness as this goes on, which is an indication that eventually it needs to collapse downwards, because it's not pumping to the upside, and if it's not going to the upside, it must go down. There's no other way. It's only up or down in this market. And so I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind right now. And again, we are continuing to fulfill that just a little bit. Jesper with a good question right here. I'm saying that this person doubled. I didn't say this person doubled his money. This was just a hypothetical when I showed you the $100 example, where I was showing you that if you traded it and compounded, I said specifically if you compounded it, that's where this person would have doubled his money. It doesn't mean that this guy didn't do that. He literally said that he's playing with smaller amounts of money, but that wasn't the point. Can I do low time frame analysis? I'm already doing it, brother. Will it go up again after a crash? Okay, so we'll get to those questions in just a bit, but super important to understand the characteristic of this, where the bulls are not able to push us as high as we were going before, and that's definitely an indication that things could get pretty bad and dump us lower. But that's exactly what it might take, where we actually end up seeing some more significant areas of support, and at those areas of support, that's where we might see bulls stepping in. So look, we end up, let's say, dumping below this green box. We go all the way down to, say, $27,000, and then we pump back up. This might be the final scream, the final whimper that ends this mini bear market, and then we end up trading up. And I keep on showing you a very, very valid example of this, and I'm going to keep showing it to you until it happens again, because it happened beautifully the last time I showed it to you. It was with this that happened over here in the market previously, where we were trading in exactly the same pattern. It's called a descending triangle, where the bulls were trying to push the price up after these retests, and they just gradually got weaker and weaker and weaker, which meant that if we couldn't pop to the upside, we had to pop to the downside. This is really, really basic stuff. You know, if you keep it's like you know, you've got the metronome, like the clock that ticks like that. And let's just say, like, on this side is a wall. Here's one of my terrible analogies. Here we go. I'm excited. This is it. This is super authentic for you guys. You've got the metronome thing, right? And it's ticking from side to side. And on one side of it, you've got a wall here. On the other side of it, you've got a wall here. And it just keeps on smashing both walls. And eventually, one of the walls is going to break. So we keep on trying to push the up wall, in this case, with our descending triangle. And we keep on failing. You know, so we keep on trying to break this wall. We keep on failing, so we have to push and break the other wall. Does that make sense? And so that was a terrible. There we go. That was a terrible analogy. It was so bad. That's actually one of the worst ones I've given you in a while. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to StuTube Trading tuning into the live stream right now after his meeting. Pastor Josh here for the terrible analogies. Me too, brother. Me too. They make my day. And but anyway, the point is we ended up doing this, which was uncomfortable, and you know we popped to the downside, and then the final whimper was falling down to this area of support, which is where we bottomed out at before. By the way, the parallel to this area of support right here, the parallel, the one we have right now, which is equivalent to this in my opinion, is $27,000. I'm going to show it to you. 1 second. It is this chart where I've drawn. Are my lines going to show? Apparently not. That's annoying. Anyway, the line I drew, it's not there anymore apparently, but the line I drew was a horizontal line right over here. And this was a demonstration of we ended up hitting an all-time high really quickly, we crashed down really quickly, and we recovered up really, really quickly. Look at this. We hit an all-time high quickly, we crashed down quickly, and then we recovered really, really quickly. And so it was only dumping down to this level, which is what made Bitcoin recover and then trade on upwards. Let's replay that. Look at that. It's only when we fell down to this flash crash support right here, which would look like this, that we made the really quick recovery up. Because that's essentially where the bulls start getting really excited and they start thinking that, you know, this is a good price to buy Bitcoin at, so I'm going to buy here. And you just start getting a domino effect, because you've got a lot of people, you've got some really, really heavy players buying at these levels, the very smart traders buying at these kind of levels, but you've got a lot of people in short positions. You've got a lot of people who are actively trading with the market going down, with the idea of the market going down. And the only way, guys, that you can close a short position, if you didn't know already, is by opening, the only way you can close a short position is by opening a long position. Super important. It's like saying that if you buy Bitcoin, you don't have any Bitcoin now, the only way to close your active Bitcoin position is to sell the Bitcoins that you own. That's the only way you can close your position. And equally, if you are trading the idea of Bitcoin trading down, that's what going short means. The only way you can close that position is by trading the idea of Bitcoin going up. And that's why we get these really sharp V-shaped recoveries. Guys, when we get V-shaped recoveries like this means a lot of traders just got fucked, just absolutely destroyed. That's what a V-shaped correction means, because it means that a lot of people entered, well, in this case it wasn't true because we didn't have futures, but we get these a lot. It means that a lot of people entered short positions on the market and they had to cover those positions. This is where you hear things like margin calls in the movies. They had to cover those positions, and then eventually they had to close them, and by closing them they had to buy Bitcoin back up, and that's why we rocketed upwards. Really, really important things to understand. But if you didn't get it, you don't need to, because it's not important to you. If you didn't understand this, it means that you haven't learned other things yet, and those other things are not important in your learning journey yet if you haven't come across them. That's also an important caveat. If you're interested in learning about these things and understanding this in and out as somebody who has never had experience in these things, then you're going to be just like, where is it? This guy who joined VIP 10 months ago with no trading experience, no knowledge like this at all. And now he probably knows more than me. So he had access to VIP with our course, our advanced course. However, both courses that we offer will teach you this particular subject. And if you want to find out the details of it, then the steps to do that are on screen. I'm going to talk about some more core analysis in just a minute, but right now, guys, I want to go through your questions. We've got 1,700 viewers, so let's smash up those likes if you just found that explanation interesting. If you learned anything at all in the past 5 minutes of the things I was describing just then, please do hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, then that's what we're all about. This is about real trading. I am a real trader. I've had to learn these things through stumbling and falling and crashing and losing all of my money and then putting more money in and then losing it again and then doing it again and again and again because I was an idiot and I didn't learn my lessons until very late. And and this is the result. I went from one polar extreme of being a complete degenerate to another polar extreme of knowing a lot of things that actually aren't even, you know, hugely relevant in trading, but I just kind of learned it out of curiosity. What have we got in the comment section today? By the way, the steps on screen, this will take you to the information to join VIP, where you can see exactly what I'm trading. You can learn everything I do about my trading in real time. You basically have access to my trading journal as I go along. Let's go through some of your questions now, though, because I'm seeing quite a few good questions, and then I'm going to get back to my core analysis in, you know, about 10 minutes. When do I think Bitcoin will be 40,000 plus? So I can't give you a time frame for that, because if I did, I would just say something stupid and inaccurate. But if Bitcoin is able to rise above this area, that would make me very optimistic that we go to 40k, 42k. And if Bitcoin is able to rise up to this green box, then I would think we're going to hit 42k within like a day. I think it would happen very quickly if we rise above this green box. So that's the best I can give you at the moment. If we dump low to say $27,000, then just like what happened in 2017, I'm going to show you this again. Remember when I was just talking about that V-shaped correction, right? So I should show you this again just to be super clear, because this is not easy to keep track of because I'm talking about a lot of things. But we got this really steep correction. Look at this, really steep drop, and then instantly bought back up. Really quick recovery, and that's because we ended up hitting this low. So if we take it back to where we are right now in this market, that to me indicates that Bitcoin, if it ends up dumping down to, you know, $27,000, which is right here, we could have a very quick recovery upwards. Because yet again, just like I was saying earlier in the live stream, I think that would mean that a lot of people would start buying up a lot of Bitcoin. A lot of smart people would start buying up a lot of Bitcoin, and that would force the noobs, the people who shouldn't have been shorting Bitcoin, that would force them to close their positions. And the only way you can close a short position is by buying more Bitcoin. So, because what you're doing is essentially selling Bitcoin. So the only way you can close a selling position is by buying it back. Your goal is to bring it back to neutrality, bring it back to zero. When you go short, if you've ever seen this on your exchange, this is why it says if you've gone short with $10,000, this is why it says minus $10,000. It doesn't say $10,000, it says minus, because your account is in the negative. Again, if that doesn't make sense to you, you don't need to know it. It's just not important yet. But if you've ever wondered why it says minus 10,000, that's why. It's because you're in a short position and you've sold Bitcoin without owning it. It's complicated, but it's not important. Let's see what else we got in the comments today. If I trade on Bybit, do I actually own the BTC or the coin you trade, or is it a contract like CFDs? Mohammed, good question, although this wouldn't impact your trading. First thing I'll say is, if those of you who are watching don't know what Bybit is, it is one of the primary exchanges that I use to trade. There is a link in the description to it, which will give you some free money to play with once you deposit some cash, and you can use that free money to experiment with the exchange and things like that. And I also have a tutorial on Bybit, which you can find by typing this into YouTube in a new tab. But Mohammed, to answer your question, it depends. If you are trading Ethereum, for example, you will need to hold Ethereum on the exchange, and the only way you can acquire Ethereum is by going to the asset exchange. And so in that case, you will own the asset. If it's something like Bitmex, this is again super technical. This isn't going to apply to most of you guys, by the way. I don't want this to scare you off. But if you're trading Bitmex, for example, that would be a real derivative, because you wouldn't hold the Ethereum ever. You can only deposit Bitcoin onto Bitmex, but you can still trade Ethereum. So it's like if I deposited dollars, but I traded with Bitcoins. I wouldn't actually own any Bitcoins, but my dollars would be used to trade those Bitcoins. Mohammed, in short, to answer your question, you do own the Bitcoin when you trade it. Bitcoin Atlas, FORFLIES, can you give me your opinion on Ethereum? Why is ETH crashing harder than Bitcoin? Good question, man. I mean, it's the same thing that I talk about all the time. Let's go over to Ethereum now and talk about that for a little bit. You know, we've covered this a lot. Oh, wow. Look at that. That's a beautiful support test. Damn. Yeah. There we go. That's something to excite Mr. FORFLIES right there. There we go. This is hot. Anyway, what were we saying? I got caught off track. What? Oh yeah, Ethereum. I'm sorry, this was just so impressive. Look at this. This is just so precise. It's beautiful. Like you know what it makes me feel like. It's like when you get a really satisfying upshift in a sports car. That's the dopamine kick this just get. Anyway, not relevant. Why are we getting this crash? It's because Ethereum is a smaller asset. Ethereum is a smaller asset than Bitcoin. I'll prove that to you really quickly. We'll go on coinmarketcap.com. And Bitcoin's market cap, this means the valuation of the market. I say this in speech marks because it's not strictly true, but the valuation of the market is $588 billion, whereas the valuation of Ethereum is only $146 billion. That's what this market is worth. And the way you calculate that is by multiplying the current price by the current supply. 1,000, throw this in a calculator right now if you want to verify this. 1,290 times 114 million equals 146 billion. And so because Ethereum is smaller, it moves more violently. It rises better than Bitcoin and it falls harder than Bitcoin. And that's one of the things that actually makes it very fun to trade and very rewarding to trade. So I'll show you this I'll show you this right now. Actually, it's quite easy to show you. Let's use the Bitfinex chart for Ethereum. Oh no, that's Bitcoin. Let's use the USD chart for Ethereum. And all I'm going to do here is simply, oh, look at this. Ethereum still beautifully in this. Oh man, this is amazing. This is so good. Ethereum's trend to me looks really good right now. But let's show you how this looked with the indicators. With the compare tool. I'm just going to throw the Bitcoin chart on top of the Ethereum chart. This is about to get beautiful for you guys. So let's shoot up those likes if we haven't already. Thank you all very much for tuning in on this Tuesday night with me. It's a Tuesday night where I am. I don't know if it is for you. But what we see here with Ethereum is... Actually, I just realized this isn't going to be easy to show you. But Ethereum rising from this low up to this high, it rises up by how much? From this low up to this high, it goes up by 41%, whereas Bitcoin, this is when, one second. This is the 22nd of January at midnight up to 25th of January at midnight. Let's see what the equivalent move for Bitcoin is. This rises by 40%, was it? Did I get that math correct? Yeah, it's 40. Damn, that's 40%. Pretty good, yeah. 40% in like 5 days, 3 days. Bloody hell, that's huge. Ethereum rising up by 40% in about 3 days. And what does Bitcoin do in that same 3 days? Let's take a look. Bitcoin in that same 3 days, 22nd Jan up to this high, it rises up by only 20%. So right here, you have a beautiful example where Bitcoin rises by half as much as Ethereum, but it also crashes by half as much as Ethereum. Right here, roughly speaking, Bitcoin down by 1%, Ethereum down by 2%. So Ethereum crashes about double as much as Bitcoin as a general rule, and this is super inaccurate, so don't write this down and don't think this is fact, but as a general rule, Bitcoin will rise half as slow as Ethereum, and it will crash half as slow as Ethereum, and that is what makes it a beautiful asset to trade, because they're both very predictable, they both form really nice price movements, and they're both easy to trade because of their predictability. So that's why I tend to stay away from these coins, these altcoins. I do still trade them because there are sometimes good opportunities, but I don't think they're worth looking at all the time, because a lot of the time I can still get the same reward, I can still get the same gains by trading these two big coins. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two biggest coins in crypto. I can still get similar gains by trading the two big ones, but my risk is so much smaller because they're more predictable. Super important to keep in mind. And so to answer your question, Bitcoin Atlas, the reason Ethereum crashes harder than Bitcoin is because it's a smaller asset, and that makes it easier to move. It makes it easier to move up, easier to move down. It's just more volatile. And we can see very clear examples of this if we go back and look at the history of Bitcoin when it was much smaller. It would fluctuate by like 30% a day, you know, like it was nothing. So it still does that these days, to be honest, sometimes. But you know, it was pretty normal. Like when an asset is small, it's very easy for it to move in really big, unpredictable ways. There's the answer to your question. Good question. Good question. It does explain a lot, and that's why, by the way, look at Link. Link is down by 4% today. Link is a coin that I've been talking about quite a bit. Within that same time frame, ladies and gents, Link went from $17 within a similar time frame. Link went from $17 to $25, which was a 50% increase, right? Link gained 50%, Ethereum gained 40%, Bitcoin gained 20%. And where is Link? Link right here is number 7. The market cap of Link, $9 billion. Market cap of Ethereum, $146 billion. There you go. Link right here is a smaller market than Ethereum, which is a smaller market than Bitcoin. And so in descending order, that's why Bitcoin has the lowest fluctuation, the smallest fluctuations. Ethereum has slightly bigger fluctuations, and Link has even bigger fluctuations because it went up by more, and now it's also down by 4%, whereas Ethereum is only down by 2%. So some really, really clear examples of why these smaller markets move in more violent ways, but also crucially, these moves on Bitcoin, especially, for example, were very predictable, where I was talking about all of these resistance areas. Bitcoin made really good use out of these resistance areas in very predictable ways, whereas Link, nothing told me that Link should have crashed over here. And I even outlined it to you. I said that Link is very unpredictable. It looks really nice to trade, but when you actually do, and I know this because I traded it and lost some money. I think I lost more money than I made trading Link, and that's why I stopped trading it, because it moves in very unpredictable ways. I don't think there was any reason to expect a crash at $25 other than the fact that we formed an M shape, which was a double top, but that was it. And, we form double tops like that all the time. Look, so, well, to be fair, this one actually was a top as well, but I don't see it being as predictable as Bitcoin. There was no resistance here, is the point. We just formed a spontaneous double top, and that made it more unpredictable to trade. Important note there. You stand to make more money trading an asset like this, but your risk is way higher. Again, just to put this into perspective, Ethereum, in my opinion, it'll move something like 2 times as much, right? So 20% up on Bitcoin, 40% up on Ethereum. But Ethereum is not twice as risky to trade compared to Bitcoin, in my opinion. Ethereum might only be 20% more risky to trade than Bitcoin, but the reward is 2 times higher, right? Conversely, on the other hand, Link will give you, about a 20% better return than Ethereum, whereas the risk is like 3 times higher, in my opinion. So you've got it blown out of proportion here, where yes, you stand to make more money trading Link, but your risk is way higher trading Link as well. So it just doesn't balance out, and that's why I tend to stick to the majors, and that's why most of the people trading coins like this, with exceptions, like the investors obviously would have made money because they're boring as fuck, but the people who are actually trading in these markets, they would have actually probably lost more money in these kind of situations because the risk to reward just isn't good enough. There you go. That's, again, like I said, this channel is all about the very, very realistic aspects of being a trader, and these are things that I consider when I'm entering my trades. I just dropped, what was it, like a 5-minute message, 5-minute voice message in VIP before this live stream. By the way, VIP members, if you missed that voice message, go back and listen to it after this live stream. I'm going to remind you about it in a few hours, but I made a voice message explaining in detail why I haven't traded for some time and why I'm very, very happy about that. And a big part of that, guys, is that almost all of the positions I considered trading over the past week or so, if I traded them, I would have lost money. And that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind, where by me avoiding taking those trades, I've been able to keep my amazing success rate that I've built up over the past 6 months. It's really, really impressive. It's I don't know, something like 80-90% success rate over the past 6 months, and a big part of that is that I've just not traded when I didn't feel safe. There are always positions like you that I consider trading, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to do it, and when I'm not 100% sure, I don't trade it, and oftentimes it tends to serve me very, very well. So it's quite an in-depth voice message, and like I said, this is content that's exclusively tailored to traders here, where I'm telling you guys about my journey as a trader and how I'm arriving to the decisions I make in order to achieve what I achieve inside of this market. You get direct, real-time access into insider access into what I'm doing by being a VIP member, and there's a lot more that goes into it. Depending on which plan you take, I'll also give you my A to Z course on cryptocurrency completely free of charge. And we've got the entire VIP library available to absolutely every single one of you. So if you liked what I was just talking about there, if you found that informative, and if you think that that can help you make money, if you think it can help prevent you from losing money, there is, I mean, that's all that VIP is about. So if you want to get in, then the steps are on screen to do that. Let's go to your next question. What about alts when Bitcoin dumps? Emmett James, usually when Bitcoin dumps hard, alts usually get destroyed. And it's for the same reason. Actually, we see it right now. Look, Bitcoin's down by 2%, Link is down by 5%. So when Bitcoin drops, alts usually drop harder. Look, Cardano down by 1% against Bitcoin, which means Cardano overall, if we look at it on the USD chart, Cardano overall down by 3%, right? Whereas Bitcoin is only down by 1.6%, Cardano is down by more than that. So to answer your question, Emmett, when Bitcoin dumps, the altcoins, they usually dump harder. Look, in the past 24 hours, okay, we're seeing completely different numbers here, but past 24 hours, oh no, this doesn't demonstrate what I'm talking about. Okay, my bad, I must be thinking of something different. How can we know this is not a potential bear trap? There's no way for us to know, to be honest. It could be, you know, it really could be. But I think one of the ways I would try to figure out if this is a bear trap, I should explain what a bear trap is. A bear trap is where we trade downwards, but it's just a trap and it's just there to fool people, and we're going to trade back up really quickly. That's what a bear trap is. It's like a mouse trap, you know, like it leads you into the trap, but then you touch it and you get fucked, and yeah, the market just goes up basically. I don't know, weird, but that's what a bear trap is. And the way we tell if it's a bear trap or not, the way I tell if it's a bear trap or not, is I look at all the factors I've already told you. Are we showing classic signs of being in a downtrend? Well, yes. Those of you who just tuned in now, you've missed when I was talking about that at the beginning of this live stream. And by the way, if you were subscribed, you might have already caught that. So definitely make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. But I mentioned in the beginning of this live stream that we have a lot of typical signs of being in a bear market right now. We are also setting lower highs and lower lows. When I put this into the when I put the question of bear trap into the context of the rest of the market, it just seems unlikely to me. If anything, I would call this a bull trap, where this is the trap, and actually it turns out it was. This was a real bull trap, you know. So those are some important things to take note of. Brian, FORFLIES, should I still continue dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin? Brian, I can't tell you what to do, brother. I did mention 1 or 2 live streams ago that I think that's a good idea. And the idea with dollar cost averaging is, if I was doing it, is I would keep buying until I get down to this kind of level, or potentially even lower. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that, but I can't tell you what to do, obviously. Moon Girl asking me to go on ETH. Yeah, just covered that. FORFLIES, what about Fibonacci retrace? What levels to expect on daily chart? Good question. Thank you. That's a very good question. Let's go through that. This viewer asking about the Fibonacci retracement. Let's draw it from, actually a viewer asked me to draw it from here, and I disagreed with him at first, but now I agree with him. And what are we seeing here? So 618. So first of all, the first thing I want to do when I look at these Fibonacci's is I want to see, how has each level been respected? Have we respected these levels? Have we made good use of them? Yes or no? And if I look at the 786 level, yes, we made good use out of it. Look, we found beautiful resistance here and beautiful support on the way back up. By the way, I see your messages about VIP. My system will go through them all very shortly and send you the information about them. About VIP. So if you want to join VIP, just pause the video here. The steps are on screen. Yeah, a lot of messages coming in. But this is where essentially we found a little bit of resistance. So check, yes, 786 level definitely being respected. The 618 level, has this area been respected? Yes, it has. Look, we found some good resistance here. We got some good support here. This is nearly where we bounced down to. So this is a relative support zone. Definitely yes, and this area is important, and that's important, and I'm going to tell you why it is in just a minute. 0.5 level, has this area been respected? Definitely. Look at these big bounces we've been getting off this level. Definitely. The 0.5 level, very important in this market. 382, yeah, got some decent support hits, some decent rejections, and 236, once again, the same picture. All of this stuff, this is like a 2-minute explanation I just gave you. This will happen instantly for you when you do it enough times. And the reason I do this, first of all, is it's just to check, is this Fibonacci line, this Fibonacci retracement that I drew, is it valid? And that's why I will check if each of these lines have been respected, if we've actually responded to them. That's to check if this is valid, and if it's not valid, you know, like let's say I drew it like This, for example, still actually looks pretty good. Oh, that's because it's a potential top zone for Bitcoin. But let's, I don't know. Let's say I drew it like this. This is where it would be less valid. Actually, it always looks valid. Yeah, that's because Fibonacci's are so cool. It's just natural how they respond to lines. But anyway, this is a check I would do to make sure that these Fibonacci's are accurate. And from there, if it has been accurate, I would expect it to continue being accurate. And the reason I said that this level is important is because the 618 level is, it's the 61.8% retracement, right? So we go up all the way up to the top, and if we trace the 61.8% down, that would take us down right over here. And that is usually for Bitcoin, and actually quite a few markets, usually where Bitcoin would bottom out. And that is, again, close to that $28,000, $27,000 target that I've been talking about for a very, very long time. So for now, this is probably my favorite bounce zone for Bitcoin. This is probably my favorite target. Beyond that, dropping down to $24,000, I would cream my pants. I would be rallying in the streets. I would be buying up in droves. And if we fell down to $20,000, I would go all in and sell all of my cars. I wouldn't. And I'd just buy a shitload of Bitcoin. So that's how I see it right now. Good question about the fib retracement. Thank you. Damn, can you hear those engines behind me? It's beautiful. I love it. Short Bitcoin with stop loss at 28K. Mark, I'm not trading it. I don't think it's safe at the moment. You know, it looks pretty good. It's just that the risk to reward isn't, you know, like I think it's a pretty safe trade overall, and it's definitely one that I've considered, but I don't think that it's great because there's not much room to take profits on that kind of position. You know, like we're only $3,000 away, 10% away, and we're equally far away from, you know, like a... What is going on down there? Don't know. They just keep revving it. It's so cool. Anyway, what we see here is I just think that the stop loss would be too close, and the targets would be equally close, and that's just not good enough. I just don't think that it's a good healthy trade at the moment. FORFLIES, can I analyze gold USD? I won't do USDT. There's no reason for me to analyze the USDT chart. Let's look at gold really quickly. I mean, it's been just largely inactive. I don't have much to say about it, unfortunately, right now. I think it could catch wings relatively soon. It topped out in August. My God. It's a big falling wedge right now. And it's overall in a healthy trend. So I would expect it to break up eventually. I just don't know how long it's going to take. And you know, Biden with his terrible economic policies could help with that a little bit. It could help with this market trading upwards. What else have we got in the comment sections today? Carlian liked the analogy. Thank you very much. And you love the calm and poised style, not like the pumped up nervous guys. No, not at all. FORFLIES, most talking about ETH going to the moon soon, but I feel Bitcoin will keep ruining it over and over. Thoughts? Eric, I think ETH will go to the moon. You know, like with all of these things, I'm painting a bearish picture for these markets, but like I said, it's only in order for us to really launch up again. It's got to get worse before it gets better, right? And so I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be, you know, like blocking Ethereum from its potential of rising up. I think that Ethereum, as soon as this market catches wings again, Ethereum's going to rise up really nicely. You know, to jump into some of the core analysis I wanted to give you on Ethereum, the one thing I didn't even see until I started recording is we have a beautiful confluence right here. Look at this. This box lining up really well with this bounce for Ethereum. This is such a good bounce that I wouldn't be surprised if we trended up to $1,500 from here just because of this bounce. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. The only thing that makes me think it won't happen is the fact that I think Bitcoin isn't in such a good shape right now. You know, Bitcoin overall has been trading downwards, while Ethereum overall has been trading upwards. We've been talking about this a lot on this channel. I'm going to show you what that looks like right here, where it essentially means that Bitcoin and Ethereum have decoupled. They're no longer coupled together. They're no longer trading in the same way. And you can see this really clearly on this chart. Let's look at this real quick. This is beautiful. I mean, it really couldn't be much better than this, really. It's a lot take a shot every time I say the word really right there. But no, you know, what we have here is, let me move this upwards. I just drop a vertical line, probably, yeah, about over here. At this point in the market, Bitcoin ends up trading in a downward trajectory, lower highs, lower lows. We were talking about this on the live stream earlier on, so if you missed that, then definitely rewind it. However, Ethereum during the same time has been trading upwards. Bitcoin trading down overall, Ethereum trading up overall. Very, very clear example of Ethereum gaining strength against Bitcoin and making me think that it could go very, very high. So things like $2,000, $4,000, $3,000, whatever, these price targets for Ethereum, I think they are entirely possible. And I think that Ethereum is going to pop off massively really soon. I think it definitely could, because it's in a rising wedge pattern right now. So I think it could really, really pump up a lot very soon. Those are my thoughts on Ethereum and stuff like that. Let's see what other questions we have in the comments today. Got a question about my view on Link, but I've already covered that earlier on in the live stream, so I won't be talking about that again now. Phil, our new moderator, honestly, join VIP, guys and girls. Join Gold for free today, just for a taste, and you will not regret it. Best choice I've ever made, signing up to be one of Sammy's pupils. Thank you very much, Phil. Really, really appreciate that. What he's talking about here is VIP. The steps to join are on screen. And if you just want to gain access to our free channel, where we still give you more free technical analysis, and the way to do that is just by clicking on the first link in the description down below. And we are now at 10,300 members. So very, very nice increases we've been seeing. You guys have been loving the content, and we are posting even more in there very, very soon. I'm amping it up right now. I've been talking to the team a lot about how we can continue to deliver even more value in our free channel. So definitely join Gold if you haven't already. What else have we got in the comments? Mylan, FORFLIES, just like you mentioned, Ethereum could be decoupled. Could there ever be a decoupling moment after this, or will it keep going its own way? Oh, could there ever be a coupling moment? Yeah, Mylan, there's almost all, it's just like a cycle, you know? Like sometimes Ethereum will move in the opposite direction of Bitcoin. Other times Ethereum will move in the same direction of Bitcoin at the same time. And it just happens in cycles. Right now, we're in a decouple cycle. Previously, we were in a coupling cycle. It's just, you know, it's cyclical. So yeah, absolutely, it happens all the time. Any free trials? We don't do free trials into VIP because we deliver these videos, and I mean, I've just been on this video now for what, like an hour, right? So it's a lot of very, very valuable content. I mean, it's absolute gold in these live streams and videos, and so like this is a lot to give for free. You know, this is effectively the free trial, and it's lifetime. Keep on watching it forever. Put up with the annoying ads if you find them annoying when I talk about VIP, and that's it. You know, like you haven't got a cost to pay besides that. So, you know, this is great free content. Petrut, if Bitcoin goes to $27,000 soon, do I think it's very likely that it's going to bounce there and there's going to be a lot of support, or is it also somewhat likely to go below that? Yeah, I think it's likely to go below that, but I don't think it would take, you know, I think we would be out of that price range really quickly. I think if we went down here and we went below, I don't think we would be below for really long. I think we would recover up really quickly. I would be very surprised if we don't. If we don't, that's actually where I would start to get a little bit concerned. But within like 2-3 days max, I think if Bitcoin drops below this level, it would probably recover up. And yeah, I think this area makes a lot of sense as support for Bitcoin. So yeah, I mean, there's not much more for me to say on that other than those things. Yeah, Phil mentioning in the comments, gold is similar to a free trial. It gives you a taste. Yeah, I don't necessarily like to call it a free trial. That's definitely what it was made for originally, but it's not necessarily a free trial into VIP because the content is quite different, but it's just more of what if you like this, then you're going to like what's in gold. It's just more time sensitive in gold, which is obviously very important. I don't have any thoughts about DOT. Haven't ever looked at it. Right, guys, I'm not going to stay on for too long because I've actually had a terrible day over the past 24 hours, like a really, really bad day. Haven't talked about it, but I basically, how do I say this? Something very important to me was taken away from me, out of my control. And it's not like a human or something, so it's actually not that bad. It's just a personal possession. But I'm actually very upset about it, and I need to go and fix this. So I'm gonna get going relatively soon, but I want to go through some final questions if you have them. I actually didn't even get like any sleep overnight, so I don't know how this has been such a good live stream. I'm just gonna put that down to luck, but I am feeling that tiredness creep back in, and I don't want this to be, you know, like a bad end to the live stream. So if you have any final questions, I'm gonna go through them. I just want to make sure that there is nothing else I missed. Yeah, I talked about Ethereum. Beautiful moves on Ethereum. Oh, actually, the other thing I wanted to show you on Ethereum was the Ichimoku Cloud. My God, it is so nice. This Ichimoku Cloud, it lines up so. Look at this. My goodness. Look at this. It doesn't get better than this. Honestly, it doesn't get better than this. Look, we dump into this 4-hour Ichimoku Cloud. Bam, pump right out. Bam, pump right out. Again. Right? It's just beautiful. We did it again most recently just now. So this looks really, really healthy to me. I love it. Conrad, how was my meetup with XRP? Actually, the guy didn't turn up. Yeah, the guy didn't turn up. Maybe the yeah, Charlie Brown, you predicted it correctly. Yeah, it was my car. It's super complicated, but I'm not even gonna go into it. But there's an issue with it. It's not in my control. It's not even my fault, but I need to solve it. And you know, like, I don't have kids. I'm a young guy, so if something happens with my cars, I get really like irrationally upset. I'm like a woman just approaching her time of it. Like I'm very irritable. So it's pretty bad. Yeah, no, it's nothing super serious. The problem will be resolved. It's just I feel like shit right now. Anyway, it's not even important for you guys. You guys aren't here to hear about stuff like that. Yeah, Cullen, I'm super aware. In fact, I was aware of it before, and I knew it was coming, but it still upset me. What main indicators do I recommend a beginner to master first? Brian, I'll never make recommendations. However, the main thing that I preach for beginners is to understand the basics really well. You probably remember studying math in school, where, you know, as soon as you got to things like algebra and the more complicated math, it started becoming really hard to still understand what was going on if you didn't have a really, really solid understanding of the basics. So it's very similar in trading, and actually the basics will carry you very far. In this entire video, Brian, in this entire live stream, we're over an hour in, I have only used boxes, diagonal lines, horizontal lines, and the Ichimoku Cloud 1, 2, or 3 times, and that's it. Just that one indicator, right? So, oh, and chart patterns. These are super basic things. That's why you guys really, I'm guessing, really enjoy these videos, because they're relatively easy to keep up with. You know, like, you can make sense of what's going on in these videos, because I'm not showing you really complicated things. I'm just showing you simple things and explaining them in a lot of detail. I made you curious about the ETH USD chart, so you opened it up. Nice one. How old are you? I'm 19. Why not short 30.8? So I covered this just a few minutes ago, but it's basically that I don't feel safe enough making that trade, and so I don't want to. See, this is something that VIPs see really quickly with me. You know, if I'm not, why is this? How do I get rid of this? If I'm not 110% convinced about making a particular trade, I won't do it. You know, like, if I'm just 99% sure that it's a good idea, I still won't trade it. You know, like, I need to be 110% certain, because there's a lot on the line. You know, like, if I lose money, you hear it all the time in every single one of these live streams. If I lose money, I lose in 2 ways. Number one is the financial hit, which is difficult enough to recover. Minus 50%, on your starting balance means that you need to double your money to break even. It's just difficult with the numbers. And number two, you're going to feel like shit, and that is going to be terrible to live through, but also it's going to make you feel very low confidence to the point where you won't be able to seize opportunities that you see in the market because you're going to think you're a bad trader. And that might mean that you miss out on really good opportunities. By the way, right now, my assistant is getting back to every single one of you guys. So if you want the information on VIP and you want it right now, like right now, he's going to send you the information right now. That's a lot of right nows. He's going to send it to you. So if you want to get the information on how to join, then steps are on screen. Sorry if I looked already, but do you notice the perfect double bottom on Bitcoin GBP? It was interesting. So, I mean, if Bitcoin GBP had a double bottom, so would Bitcoin USD, but let's just look at the GBP chart anyway. This is, I don't know which time frame you're talking about, man. Because you could say that this is a double bottom, or you could say that this is a double bottom. Maybe this is what you're talking about. This makes a lot of sense. And it didn't happen on the USD chart? That's weird. Oh, it didn't. Damn. Okay. Yeah. It didn't happen on the USD chart. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know what to say about that though, because the GBP chart definitely isn't important in my opinion. That's not where most of the volume is trading. It's traded. Great Dane doesn't believe that I'm 19. Someone else can tell him. I started off really early. I started off trading when I was 15. What do I think of XRP? Shit. Give us a quick example of something complicated? Sure, absolutely. Let me do that and then I'm going to end this live stream. Something complicated. Here's a complicated indicator that I really like. It is the TI indicator, a development of the TD sequential indicator, and it is for time-based analysis to show you where a trend, oh wow, look at that, to show you where a trend might top out. And broadly speaking, if you get a number 9, it means that you've traded upwards for 9 consecutive candles based off some conditions, and that would usually predict reversal points. And if you get a 13, it means the same thing. 9 and 13 are the two key numbers, which is essentially saying that after 9 consecutive upward movements, you're probably going to reverse down. That's an example of something complicated, and obviously there's more to it than that. This area shows you where a potential good stop loss could be placed. I don't think there's any good stop losses for short positions right now. And it's just a super reliable indicator in my opinion if you use it correctly. Look at this, another 9 right here showing up right at the top. So it's a very good look, another, wow, another 9 right here. Look at this, predicting this top. This is a really good indicator, but pretty complex. Ichimoku Cloud is also pretty complex, by the way. It's just that it's worth learning in my opinion, because you know, like once you get it, it's easy to understand, and it definitely you know, it works very well, very consistently in my opinion. Right guys, I'm gonna get going. I hope you have enjoyed this one. If you have, please do hit up those likes one final time for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. Where are we as far as subscribers? I haven't checked recently. We just passed 64,000 and we're nearly at 65. There we go. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. If you've enjoyed this, if you found anything here useful at all, then please do so. It helps me, helps you. And I will see you all in the next live stream. I'm sorry that I only did an hour today. But yeah, I do want to get going and get some rest and sort out this problem I have.